Right, today guys, you are going to see something very, very different from me. Not that I've never done something like this, I've never filmed something like this. All from the encouragement of my fiance here, who wants to hit the booty workouts. So this is a booty bodybuilding workout today. Encouraged by yourself?
Yeah.
Why is that?
You know, I'm just doing it for you.
Ah, right, okay.
Just kidding, it's for me.
Yeah, like I've got a flat ass. Okay, so like I've always found that I'm able to activate my glutes pretty easy, regardless of the squatting movement or isolation movement that I'm doing. However, I know that's not always the case for everybody. So doing it with Sunshine today, I was able to look at her form and just keep reminding certain cues of making sure that you have your toes elevated, that your legs are right out in front of you, and you're driving through your heels, and you're thinking about that mind-muscle connection and not always locking out when you're doing those compound movements, such as your squats or your leg press or anything like that. Because I find when you do press out, you generally don't go down as far as you need to get a real good stretch and go beyond what's called the hole. When you go right down, you want to go beyond the hole. So usually when I'm training my quads or my hamstrings, or if I'm just doing a conventional squat, I try only to go parallel, because I don't want to activate my glutes. Because if I go any lower than parallel, I know I just hit my glutes all day. So of course today I'm going a little bit lower than I generally would, but I'm not locking out and I'm not disengaging the muscle, I'm keeping them engaged. So the first exercise that we did was a wide stance Smith machine. The reason why I like to do the Smith's machine is because you're able to put your feet right out in front of you, which you can't do on a conventional barbell, obviously, you'd fall over. So if your feet are right out in front of you, you lean against the bar. And what you're trying to do is mimic and imitate, that's a hybrid. So imitate is your feet at the top of the platform when you're doing a leg press. That's what you're trying to think about when you're doing the Smith machine. So your feet are right out in front of you, not locking out at the top, going right beyond the hole at the bottom and driving through your heels. And we're knocking out about 10 to 15 repetitions there, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you've done that before and you haven't really felt it as much through your glutes as you should. Of course you're going to feel it throughout your quads. Let's get that out of the way. You are going to feel it in your quads, especially on compound movements. Not on isolation so much, but you have to. You have to. You know, it's much like doing bench press and not feeling it in your triceps or your anterior delts. You're going to feel it. You know, you just have to drive through that.
I felt it.
Felt it?
I felt it.
Good.
I definitely felt it when I put my feet out in front of me more and leaned back. That kind of was, obviously, you're not going to do that if you have a straight bar on you, but being on the Smith machine helps. And did you talk about the change stance?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So the next exercise was a narrow stance Smith machine squat. And that one, I can really feel it in my glutes when I put my legs out further than I would normally.
Yeah, because if your legs are right below you, you're going to mimic a hack squat, which that really targets the quads a little bit more. So when you're doing any of those movements, so when we went wide, of course you're going to bring in some assistance from your adductors, your inner thigh, and then when you go narrow, you're going to get a little bit of assistance from your abductors, your outer thigh. So you're trying to remove that from the equation by taking your feet as far forward as you possibly can. We did the same sort of reps on everything there, about 10 to 15 repetitions. We're trying to go heavy, work the negative, go down slow, but then explode out of the positive, because your glutes are made for an explosive impact, such as sprinting. You know, so you have to think whatever muscle group, such as your chest, is designed like to punch. That's what I always try to mimic with an explosive movement. Whereas like your hamstrings or your back, they're more pulling, so you wouldn't explode out the hole as much with those muscle groups. You know? So what exercise? We did lunges, reverse lunges after that with a deficit. Yeah, so we had feet or our rear foot elevated onto a Reebok platform, just a few inches off the floor, so you can go down a little bit further with that lunge. Again, exaggerate that stance so your foot is right out in front of you, and again, drive through the heels. It might take you a while to get your balance right. Sybil ended up on her ass a couple of times, you know, but that's what failure is all about.
Yeah, that was frustrating me. It was so hard, but it's a good one. Like, hard that it's good.
Yeah. So, it's the same. You just count the reps on the one leg before going on to the other. And then we went on to the abductor and pull-throughs. Yeah, we did the pull-throughs. So it's kind of like a deadlift. Your back is facing the machine or the rope or the cable that's behind you, and you're pulling through with that rope. Again, feet are out a little bit wider than a shoulder width stance, driving through your heels, and as you come up, you squeeze your glutes and push forward. So, you know, as if you're having sex, I guess. You know, you're driving forward. Even if you've only got 3 inches, you're trying to make them 5. So that's what you're trying to visualize. 5 inches, come on. So that's what I was aiming for. But I usually come up short on that one. There's no different on this one. Anyway, so we did 4 sets there, but you found that easier not to have the plates on top of your toes. I like to have the plates there on top of my toes so I can balance through my heels a little bit more.
So yeah, I experimented with putting my feet on and off the plates, and I found that it was better for me to put them off. And I also I'm trying to go as heavy as possible on all these movements, but I found this one in particular, it was just pulling me back, and I was fighting against, I suppose, gravity, or whatever that physical term is. But so yeah, find a weight that you can actually feel your muscles contracting.
Yeah, everyone's going to be different, you know. Whatever works for you isn't going to necessarily work for your training partner. So you don't always have to mimic them, even if they are right. And once we did that, that's when we went onto the abductor machine. So the first few exercises, I felt okay and comfortable, but now I feel a little bit feminine. You know, going towards the thrust and stuff. But anyway, the glutes, the abductor machine. So the way that I perform it, I like to be elevated from it. So it was Gal Yates, Dorian Yates' wife, that actually showed me that. Definitely wasn't Dorian, but I actually felt it so much more doing it that way, so I continue to do so. And make sure that, you know, I try to go as heavy as possible. I was reaching failure around 10 to 15 repetitions, and making sure that you get that contraction. And again, it's easy to drive through your toes, just drive through your heels. It's your heels, your posterior chain is pulling, so you need to think of that.
Yeah, just look up Gal Yates. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to these.
She's Brazilian.
Oh yeah.
And then once we did that with that, Sunshine said, you know what, I want to hit some quads now, which is unusual because after her booty workout, she usually feels it, has it usually target her quads at the same time. So this time she actually said, I want to target my quads. So we specifically just hit some leg extensions at the end. You obviously don't have to do that, but we just threw them in there just to see how many sets we could go for before the other one gave up.
We would have done a few more, but I think our cameraman needs to go home, so that was it.
And we just did a load of drop sets. We did 1.5 reps, we did some rest pause, so we threw that all in there. So anyway, I have had a lot of people request glute workouts from myself after seeing Sunshine's amazing evolution with her glutes over the past couple of years since she's been implementing these workouts. And so, you know, if you want more videos like this or more programs specifically for your glutes, let us know below.
He's blushing, but you know you do. You know you want these.
Hey, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that ask me as well, and I'm surprised. So I'm like, okay, no problem. You know, it's a different day and age from when I was a bodybuilder, so that's fine. All right, we out.